But on that note, I guess we'll end things off with my last little quirky question. How do you guys feel about limiting races for certain campaigns?
This was not the question to end on, Matt. This could be
Probably
an
not.
hour-long discussion. All of it.
Try and sum it up in a sentence or two, Josh, if you can.
No,
Like Dragonlance.
No, you know what, Isaiah?
You know what,
Isaiah? Have your fun. I'm not even gonna. Go ahead, bud.
I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm being called out.
Well, because I know we don't agree on this, so you go first.
Yeah, so who cares?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
go
no,
first.
I
It's
say
a
fuck it.
discussion.
I let someone play what they want to play, man. Like, it's not that big a deal. And if you're really, really against it, like straight up, your players are they're the PCs. You can do the fucking I think it's the Matt Colville with the Mercer wanting to be a Dragonborn and be like, well, you are literally the only Dragonborn.
Yeah.
But it goes both ways, right? It does. It goes both ways. Because you can't be the only Dragonborn and expect to be treated fairly or nicely or any of these things. You are in some way being kind of a hassle. You have to expect, and not overly so, right? There is a sweet spot of you're gonna be haranguing it, you're gonna get harangued. It is what it is.
Were you the one who... Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean to. I was going to say, were you the one who told the story about the Dragonborn who, he's the only Dragonborn in his land, went to a bar, two guys mentioned something to like, oh, fucking, scale skin, what are you doing here? And then the player's like, hey, man, I feel really uncomfortable with the racism in the game going on, so I'm just going to dip out. And it's like, but I told you that people were going to think you're a weirdo because you're playing a giant lizard man. We talked about
that wasn't
this.
me. Yeah, no, that was not me. No.
Oh shit, I'm trying. I gotta remember who I taught. Maybe this was a green text video instead.
It seems like a green text video.
Yeah.
Again, like you can do it tact. Yeah. I have been on the I've been on the end of like being discriminated against in a game to the point where it did not feel like it was a part of the game. I've been there for sure.
Yeah.
But that just comes from the fact that it was like never ending. There was like never a moment where a person could be a decent human being and they were just gripped by their racism. That's when it's like way too much. But
fucking Elden Ring, it's like, oh, no maidens. It was like, yeah, you fucking know I have no maidens. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a healthy amount, right? If you go to like an upper crust aristocracy place and they're like, we don't serve your kind here, and you're like, whoa, that's a little ridiculous. But if you go like,
I'll have I fucking killed a dragon. I have a whole dragon horde in my bag of holding. What do you have?
Yeah.
Nothing.
And even then, people who are bad people can be easily bribed. Where it's like, oh, you don't want this diamond I got from a dragon's horde? And they're like,
ooh, a dragon's horde, you say?
Come inside, sir. No, I'm sorry for my transgression. Would you like some tea?
That's what
there's ways to get around stuff like that. And if you're really against it, like really, you're like, nope, no dwarves in my campaign. Just don't let it. It's not going to happen. I think it is what it is. And I think players, I get it. You had an idea. It may have been a damn good idea, but maybe next time, the world will not end because you didn't get to play a dwarf in the fantasy game. Yeah. Much like all things, it's got to go both ways. You got to give and you got to take. If the DM's like, no one uses the fucking crusher feat, and you're like, okay, DM, I really want to play a dwarf, and I also want the crusher feat, so can we like meet halfway? The game's about diplomacy, fam. If you can't be diplomatic, what's the point?
I wish more people read the section in Eberron. I'm going to try and find it. It's too late. Just read the first chapter of Eberron Rising from Last Word. In there, it literally talks about, listen, here are the player's handbook races, and then the Eberron races like Warforged and Changelings and Kalishtar, the fucking weird, fucking not angel people. Like, it's like, hey, maybe it's like even though this book says there are no Kenku or there are no Goliaths, there are plenty of space in this world that you can add them in. It is okay. And then he gives you like, ideas of like here where you can put like a race here or there. He's like, do what you want. It's your campaign. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. I wish more people kind of would read that section and be like, yeah, no, it is my campaign. Yeah, I can do it, whatever I want.
Doing whatever you want means you can also tell players no.
True. Even that. Yeah. Even if, yeah. And if you want to do that, that's fine too.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, like I said, be diplomatic about it.
Yeah. Don't just be like, I hate dwarves, so no dwarves allowed. It's like, come up with something. Like, I don't know. Say, do the fucking Elder Scrolls. Yeah, there are no dwarves because years ago some bad shit happened and now they all disappeared for a magical reason. Maybe they travel forth in the future. Who knows? That's for you to decide.
I think most GMs are denying races simply because me no likey. I think most of the time it's because they have an idea for their setting and a particular race just doesn't work or fit. So they say, no, you can't play it because I have a very particular idea. And I've said this a million times, but if a player's really, really, really deeply invested in playing a particular species or a particular class, maybe, I mean, classes, I think, restricted classes, I think you have a harder argument because A, there's less of them, and B, the idea of the classes are much more genericized and can be recontextualized in lots of ways. But if a player is particularly set on playing a particular species, that was a dumb sentence. If a player is deeply set on playing a particular species, and you as the GM say, no, there are no Dragonborn in my setting, for example, and the player's like, I really want to play a Dragonborn, and then you say, okay, why are you so attached to playing a Dragonborn? Why are you so attached that you're arguing with me about this? Because if you're arguing with me, it must mean you have a good reason for wanting to play the thing. And the person goes, I really love the Dragon Breath ability. I think it's super sick, and I want the elemental resistance. Okay, what if you play a human who is a genetically modified person who has weird dragon powers? Or maybe you play a sorcerer and your draconic heritage comes through in the Dragon Breath and the weird elemental resistance or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Get down to why they want to play a particular species. And at the end of the day, if a GM is like, no, I don't want that species there because I have a very particular thing about my world, for example, there are no Warforged because that form of technology just doesn't work for the situation I have come up with. Maybe it's some sort of post-apocalypse situation where the Warforged idea would just not have lasted. Trust your GM that they're doing it for the sake of they have an interesting idea. Don't assume they're doing it to be an asshole.
Yeah, you have to ask them and talk to them.
Assume they're doing it because they have a cool idea or they have something compelling that they're trying to do. And then go, okay, so if you're trying to do this, but I want to do this, what if I do this and this instead? Okay, that might work. Like, you can have the conversation about it, like, retooling a Warforged to be like, what if I'm like a weird super soldier human? That could work.
Yeah.
Who doesn't need to sleep and is immune to poison.
Yeah, that could work. Part of reflavoring. That's basically just like a reflavoring.
You can find, if they are deeply attached to a particular thing, you can figure it out. And also, if you're like, no, I want to play a robot man, and I as the GM am saying no robot men, then you need to give me, I need you to give me a reason, or not a reason. I need you to give me an interesting narrative for why you're the robot man. Don't just be like, because robot man cool, because I'm going to tell you no. But if you come up with a really interesting story idea or a hook for in which the character can fit into the setting, where initially I had said no, but you had such a cool idea that I'm like, all right, I could do something with that. I will make that fit in. So you're like, I want to play a Warforged. There's no Warforged. Okay, what if I'm essentially this particular, you mentioned this one crazy wizard guy who rules a kingdom, right? Yes, I did. Okay, what if I'm one of his weird golem experiments that got away? Okay, now we're talking. Now I could do something with that. As opposed to just, I want to play cool robot, let me play cool robot. Why? Because I said so. All right, well then fuck you. No.
Try and build a story.
Converse and be willing.
If you can work it into the setting that I have presented to you, now we've gone from, no, you're not allowed to, oh, this is actually probably more interesting than whatever you were thinking before, because you're working within constraints. And at the end of the day, I've said this a million times, working within constraints often makes more interesting products. Or more interesting, I'm going to say more interesting art, because products are the devil. We don't like the word products here.
What were you
More
going to say?
interesting
Isaiah?
art.
No, I'm just agreeing with Josh. Have a dialogue. Be willing to discuss it, and don't be so firm in your opinion to be unable to budge no matter what.
Yeah, both sides.
Like,
yeah.
I was pretty when I did my game, I was, because Hellscapes only has 3 races, right? You have a normal person, which is a tribal, a mutant, which in case you're basically an X-Man, and a bestial, which is you're basically a furry. And I know my players. I know you. I know all of you very well.
Let's all be furry
Half
so we
of
can
them
fuck
were-
each other.
Yes, half of them, well, no, but half of them did want to play bestials, and I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is gonna get ridiculous. Bestials are not that common. Y'all can play
One or
like.
two.
So I said there was one straight up bestial, and then one person. I was like, if you want to have a second one, technically, you can do a mutant who has an animal-like trait, but that is not what they are. They are treated differently in the setting for several different reasons. Not like behaviorally, like, oh, I'm going to treat you better, but the world affects you differently. And the players went with that, and they got what they wanted. It's just, you present rules and allow for some wiggle room within those rules, and most
give
players are
constraints.
totally fine. Yeah,
Those are
that's what I said.
constraints.
Give
Those are
consent.
constraints you made, and those constraints made the players have to think about it in a more complex way than they would have probably done
Yes, that's-
before.
I'm agreeing. Yeah. So yeah, give them constraints, and then but be willing to wiggle.